Welcome to our channel. Today's video is how to manage a rental property and the risks and challenges. Part 2 of our 4-part series on owning a rental property for beginners. You can check out part 1 by clicking on the link in the description. We will cover 5 essential topics, starting with self-management versus hiring a property manager, finding and screening good tenants, creating and enforcing lease agreements, collecting rent effectively, and lastly, handling maintenance and repairs. Let's talk about all the different aspects of managing and how to make it work for you. So first up, we have self-management versus hiring a property manager. Self-management is essentially the DIY manager and can save you money and give you a hands-on approach and full control while you pick up the ins and outs of owning a rental property. The downside of being the DIY manager is it can chew up time managing inquiries, showings, repairs, and rent collection. Can be difficult dealing with tenants, late payments, emergencies, and you need to be clued up with the legal side of rentals too. A good time to be a hands-on DIY manager would be if 1. You live near the rental property. 2. You have time and interest in property management. 3. You are starting with only 1 or 2 properties. 4. You want to maximize cash flow. Hiring a property manager can have many benefits such as time savings, professional expertise, and scalability, i.e. you may want to own multiple investment properties and a manager can handle volume. The downside to a property manager is they will charge a percentage of the weekly or monthly rent depending on where you live, plus leasing and repair costs. You also have less control, and not all managers are good at their job, so look for referrals and recommendations. When to hire a property manager. 1. You live far from the property. 2. You own multiple properties or units. 3. You lack time, interest, or legal knowledge. 4. You are dealing with difficult tenants or frequent turnover. Finding and screening good tenants. A good tenant pays on time, takes care of your property, and follows the rental terms. Finding the right person isn't luck, it requires a strategic process. Effective advertising helps attract more applicants, increasing your chance of finding high-quality tenants. Search online for the relevant rental sites in your location. Facebook Marketplace is one such site. Okay, so with your listing you will need to use clear, high-resolution photos and write a concise description highlighting key features. Mention the rent amount, deposit, bond, pet policy, and availability date, and be responsive to inquiries and schedule showings quickly. Now we come to the tenant screening process. Here we discuss application form, income verification, credit checks, background checks, landlord references, and fair housing laws reminder. Starting with the application form for potential tenants, you need to know their name, contact details, possibly their employment history, monthly income, rental history, and references. Check your local privacy laws to make sure you are within your rights to get all this information. This also applies to the next 3 parts of the screening process. Next up is the income verification process. Tenants should really be earning 2.53 times the monthly rent. Requests for pay slips, bank statements, or tax returns may be necessary. Credit check. Look for high credit score and low debt to income ratio. Check their history of late payments or bankruptcies. A background check may include criminal history, previous evictions, and judgments for unpaid rent. Now we come to landlord references. Best to contact at least one previous landlord and ask them questions like, was rent paid on time? Were there any complaints? Did they look after the property? And would you rent to this person again? Fair housing laws reminder is about always applying the same criteria to all applicants and never discriminating based on race, religion, gender, family status, disability, or other protected categories. You might say, why do we need a lease agreement? The answer is, without one you have very little control over what your tenants do. Let's break it down. A rental or lease agreement will generally have the following information. You can search online and find your local rental agreement templates. You will need the name of all tenants living at the address. The lease term if it's fixed or open-ended. Rent details like the amount, due date, late fees, etc. How much the bond, security, is, how it's held, and return conditions. A good idea is to schedule regular property inspections, so have this in the agreement too. In some places this can be a requirement condition for insurance purposes. How much notice you need to give before entering the premises. We advise checking with experienced landlords or your attorney to ensure compliance with local laws. Who pays for utilities, maintenance responsibilities, pet policy, and rules for subletting or additional occupants. Now we look at the signing part of this process. There are digital signatures via platforms like DocuSign to help streamline the process, or arrange a face-to-face meeting with the new tenants where you sit down and both sign. You need to provide the tenants with a signed copy of the agreement. Store your lease agreements securely, digitally or in print, along with all communication and documents related to the tenant. Number 4 is rent collection. Consistent and efficient rent collection is the foundation of positive cash flow. You need clear systems that make it easy for tenants to pay and allows you to track payments. If you have only 1 or 2 rentals, then just weekly, fortnightly or monthly deposits into a bank account may be fine. Best to set up a new bank account for rent deposits and expenses relating to the rental property. If you want to have a portfolio, then you could consider using online platforms to help reconcile and manage payments. Just do an online search and check out the different ones available and price their price structure. Another important area is handling late payments. Rules are: communicate early. A polite reminder might solve the problem. Send a formal notice if rent is not paid within the grace period that you will have written into the lease agreement. Considering offering your tenant a payment plan as a short-term option for reliable tenants with temporary issues. As a last resort, and after following correct legal procedures for your area, you can begin the eviction process. Check your local laws around accepting partial payments. Unless part of a formal plan with your tenant, these may cause problems long-term if you still need to evict a tenant. Maintaining your property keeps tenants happy, extends the life of systems and appliances, and helps you avoid expensive emergency repairs. Here are the different types of maintenance. They include routine, preventative and emergency repairs. It is advisable to check up on your local regulations to see if there are healthy home standards and laws you need to follow. Routine maintenance includes HVAC and AC servicing once or twice a year. Gutter cleaning, lawn care and landscaping, pest control, testing smoke and carbon monoxide detectors and septic maintenance if rural. Preventative maintenance covers things like fixing minor leaks before they become a major. Service water heaters and appliances and seal windows and doors to prevent drafts. Emergency repairs cover things like broken heaters in winter. Depending where you live will decide what regulations you need to follow: plumbing leaks or flooding, electrical hazards, and broken locks or doors affecting safety. Make sure with your rental agreement that you have stated clearly what tenants are responsible for, such as keeping property clean and tidy and changing light bulbs. Local regulations will also determine what should be considered a priority. For the repair process, you need to begin with a reporting system. Either text or emails work well for tenants to report issues. Respond within 24-48 hours or whatever your local regulations require. Hire contractors that are professional, reliable, and have a list handy for electricians, plumbers, and handymen. Check they are licensed and have insurance. Lastly, keep all documents for repairs. Log the date reported, action taken, costs and photos. Save all receipts for tax purposes. A common rule of thumb is to set aside 1 to 2% of the property value annually for maintenance. Example: property value of $500,000 times 1% equals $5,000. This is how much you could put away. Another way is to multiply the monthly rent by 1.5. Example: monthly rent of $2,500 times 1.5 equals $3,750. This would be how much to set aside. Also, maintain a reserve fund for major repairs. Consider other factors. Property age. Newer properties may require less maintenance than older ones. Property type. Apartments may have additional costs associated with body corporate fees. Regular maintenance versus capital improvements. Differentiate between routine maintenance and larger upgrades. Emergency repairs. Allocate funds for unexpected repairs that may arise. Next up is risks and challenges that landlords can face. Non-payment of rent. This can affect cash flow. We touched on this subject in rent collection. Property damage is also another risk and can be more than just normal wear and tear. When this happens, it can be stressful, but having a good rental insurance policy will help reduce the financial stress. Evicting problem tenants can be time-consuming and a costly legal process, but careful screening will go a long way to minimize this happening. Periods of vacancies can also be challenging, but sometimes outside your control, for example, if there is a downturn in the economy. So as you can see, there are many things to consider when looking at managing a rental property. How you manage it, the type and scope of your agreement, adopting a preventative approach to repairs and maintenance, and your thorough screening of tenants, all play an important role in having a seamless tenancy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our video, please be sure to like and subscribe.